Hey guys, welcome back to another episode recap of the Real Housewives of New York. I get it confused sometimes. What are we doing? Potomac, New York, is so many on. Okay, so this episode opens up with the continuation of last week's fight. It seems like every episode opens up with the continuation of a fight. Sonja is still knucking and bucking and ready to fight. And Luann says, Ramona, it's up to you to handle Sonja. Oh, wait, excuse me. Luann says Sonja. She doesn't say Sonja. She says Sonja. It's up to you. And then, Ramona goes and starts Sonja explaining to Bershan, like, she's a broken woman. She's not strong like us. She's not a warrior like us. And if I do recall correctly, when Bershan was on the other reality show, Love in the City, her initiative for fighting cancer was something warriors in the title. So maybe that was like a nod at her organization. So she's like, I'm a life coach, Ramona. I get it. I'm like, you don't seem like a life coach, Bershan, because you don't seem very self-aware for yourself. Like, you can't read a room, so I don't really see you as a life coach. But if you say so, okay. But where do they do that? Okay. So, Ebony is with Luann on the elevator or getting off the elevator, somewhere in there, saying, she makes it known, I am not my brother's keeper. Like, I gave Bershan all the black notes and told her what to do, but hey. And then she goes and says, I'm learning these people too. I don't know. I'm still navigating this group, this circle of people. But it's like, yo, Ebony, dang, man, how she's just happy, I think, to not have all of the steam on her, like, oh, the attention's not on me. That's cool. Let's do this. So then, we move on. We see them waking up, getting ready. And of course, as in Real Housewives and reality TV fashion, they're talking about the night before. Leah's on the phone with Ramona, because nobody else was privy to, or was she on the phone with Ebony? She was on the phone because no one else was privy to what had happened the night before, where Bershan went up to Leah's room and asked for melatonin, and then Sonja was in there with Leah. So Sonja's like, you don't get in my face, you don't call me this and that, blah, blah, blah. Sonja's all in Bershan's face, and me, being a viewer and a black woman, I know that things are about to escalate because you don't get in a black woman's face. That's when things escalate. You do not, and you don't point fingers at black people. But I think that might be a cultural thing overall. Because one thing I've learned from traveling and just human nature, certain cultures don't have a personal space issue like black people. Oh my God, especially in Asia. Oh my God, traveling in China, I see why. And this is not a racist comment. This is just an observation that in China, it is so crowded that people are constantly bumping into each other that it's not an issue. But back to the show. So they, we see them talking and, because Leah continues to explain that Sonja was like out of control, and Bershan, she antagonized Sonja. She had to put that out there. Bershan was the antagonizer of the situation, not the fact that Sonja, like had any role in it really. Like she was antagonizing her. I mean, I'm not saying that she didn't say Sonja had a role, but Sonja was wild out of control, and Ramona says, I told Bershan, I told her, like, don't get it, don't, antagonize her. She, like, don't do this to Sonja because she's out of control, blah, blah, blah. And so then, they call Luann, and Luann's like, you want me to come up there? And it's like, as if, Luann is acting like a sponsor, as if she hasn't been sober for like 5 minutes. Like, as if she wasn't really in denial of having a drinking problem. Because seriously, I believe Luann went to all those AA meetings, was it last season or season before last? And when they were in Miami, and she tried to bring Sonja along, and Sonja got depressed. She was like, I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. I believe Luann went to all those AA meetings to fulfill her parole so she wouldn't go to jail. However, that's not what we're talking about. So Luann, she's, Sonja, she's out of control. Like, that's the subject of today. Like, I kind of just want to move on to the seance, to the piece de resistance. But we have to talk about it. So, they continue explaining, what are we going to do? How are we going to talk to Sonja? Sonja this, how are we going to talk to her? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, y'all been having the same conversation for 3 4 or 5 seasons, Sonja's drinking is an issue. Even when Bethany was on it, Sonja, your drinking is an issue. But before, it was Dorinda's, and then also Dorinda's problem was the drinking. Then it was Luann's problem with drinking. Luann had a problem with drinking. And she was kind of in denial, like, it's just fun, blah, blah, blah. And then she tried to bring Sonja in. But now we're back to Sonja's problem with drinking. And, so then, the ladies go to the boat. They get dressed again, blah, blah, blah. They talk again. So they go to the boat sushi house. I think it's called the Black Cow restaurant, where they eat sushi at a bar that looks like a boat, which I actually thought was very cool, being that I love interior design. I thought it was cool, and I'm always trying to think of different ways a bar can be done. So I thought that was a cool thing, like Bershan, she got the assignment. She comes to the table, and she says, she comes with tears. So she did what she needed to do, I'm going to come to the table, I'm going to apologize, and I'm going to cry. Because that's what, historically, that's what works for women, particularly white women. Just cry, and all will be forgiven. So she starts saying how, like, she was so, kind of unaware of, I'm treating you like you're my old girlfriend from 30 years ago. You guys are boring, you're boring, you're acting like old ladies. That's what we do. And to be honest, why would that really be offensive? That's not that offensive. You're acting like an old lady. So, I am an old lady, whatever. Go ahead. So then Luann steps in. Well, it was like you were talking to all of us. You were directly calling us old ladies and not fun. And you don't know us. I'm thinking like, Luann, why are you offended? Aren't you the one who was like, don't be all uncool? Like that was your thing. So why are you offended by that? Is it because Bershan is new? That could possibly be the case. Like, Bershan is new. You're not going to step to me and my crew and talk about me and my girls when you don't even know us. Like, it's funny. I could talk about them. I could talk about my girls all day long, but don't you come and talk about my girls. You're not going to do that. That's what you're not going to do. But Ebony and Luann didn't say that. So, Sonja's like, we had a bond. I thought, you said I moved like a black lady. Sonja didn't say that. I said that. That's what Bershan said on the bus. Sonja, where'd you get those moves? You move like a black woman, which is a lie. Lies, lies, lies. Sonja moves like a drunk white woman. Okay. So Sonja accepts Bershan's apology, as they do always on all these shows. I'm going to accept your apology until you prove me wrong. That's how it always goes. I accept your apology. Okay, just don't do it again. So then, we move on. They are all getting dressed and ready for the seance that they're about to go to. And, they all, in their confessionals, the ladies start, talking about their experiences with, the occult or spiritualism, something that's non-traditional. Like, Sonja's like, I go to readers all the time. I've gone to a seance. I've been to a seance. I've spoken with the dead. Luann's like, I've gotten tarot readings, this and that. Ebony's like, I'm terrified. So this is uncomfortable for me. Of course it is, because you do everything according to a plan. So, and Leah's like, I'm a little skeptical about this, which I'm like, Leah, you brought everybody here. Y'all didn't have to do it. You really didn't have to do it. So then, the ladies come downstairs and Leah has on another wackadoo outfit as always. And is this the outfit where it was back? She had it on backwards, or was it the one with that leather tab? It's like they cut out a raincoat and she had that pleather thing hanging in the front, the zipper hanging down. I don't know. Anyhow, they move on to the seance. But before the seance, they must have a mini intervention with Sonja. So they have this mini intervention, and of course, in Ramona fashion, she tells Ebony and Bershan, step to the side. We need to talk to Sonja alone. However, it's like, why is Leah there? I mean, I know Leah's had her issues with drinking, so maybe she could facilitate an intervention, but she's new. She doesn't know Sonja like that. So why does she get to stay? It should be you, Ramona, and Luann talking to Sonja. However, the funny thing is, Leah was doing all the talking. And it's like, Ramona, you said Sonja is your friend, BF of 30 years. One of your many BFs, by the way, of 30 years. And you couldn't even really find the words to talk to her. Oh, back it up. Speaking of finding the words, when Ramona was talking to Bershan, and I can't find the words, she said, "You're pushing Sonja's envelope." That was not the correct usage of that phrase. Like, that's not what pushing the envelope means, Ramona. Pushing the envelope means that you are like going outside of the box. You're like making something bigger and more exciting and doing what's not the norm. Anyhow, back to it. Back to the mini intervention. And how about this is an intervention? This is not where you should have an intervention outside a seance room, out in public. An intervention just from the show where the guy was like, "I still love you." Those are interventions. Like, you bring the person in a room with loved ones, people who can relate to the situation, and a facilitator or a mediator who's neutral to discuss, not out in the open. "Sonja, we gotta discuss your drinking. You've been drinking too much." And Sonja does what Sonja always does. She always says this is her script. "I don't drink when I'm without you guys. I don't drink at home alone. I have it under control. I only drink when I'm with you. I drink socially. I'm not a drunk. I got it under control. I do detoxes when I'm away from you." She said that on Watch What Happens Live. "I haven't had drinks in months. Like, when I'm in quarantine, I didn't drink." Yeah. We get it, Sonja. You don't have a problem. But you know what? The first step in getting over your drinking problem is knowing you have a problem. And she's not there yet, everybody. She's not there. She just wants to dance, drink wine, drink martinis, and get drunk. And I think it's funny that there are people who are actually alcoholics, like drunk over wine. Like, oh my God, I can only drink like two glasses of wine tops. And I'm just kind of subdued, but that's just how my body responds to wine. Like a martini, 1 to 3. No, 1 to 2. I had one sidecar last week and I was like, whoa, this is too much. But I've also stopped drinking heavily. And I never really drank heavily. I just stopped. It's not even about me. So let's keep it moving. So, they get inside the seance and, the medium, I guess, if you will, she does a light prayer, like, "We're protected, this is light and love, blah, blah, blah." Then bam, there's a crash. And they kind of, the other guy, the guy with the medium, I guess it's 2 mediums. He's like, "Oh, that's nothing. It's just a light came off the ceiling." A light coming off the ceiling is something. It's either there is a certain energy in this room, or the whole building's gonna come down eventually. So it is something. I would have been like, "Okay, bye." But no, the ladies persisted because production needed to get this shot. So then, like, she starts talking, the medium. Like, she goes around the room. She says to Ebony, she makes this goat analogy. Like, "You've always been considered, like, the guy says, "You've seen this goat going uphill and something like that, and then you're a regular goat. You're not the goat of, hip hop. You just a regular goat. And you need to let that regular goat energy go away so you can be the real goat, like LL Cool J." He didn't say that. That's just me. So then, everybody's looking like, okay, what is he talking about? And then, Sonja makes a joke. "Bershan isn't a goat. She's a turtle, and she needs to pull it back in." Like, okay. All right. So then, they move on. The medium moves on to Luann and starts talking about her uncle. And Luann's like, "Somebody didn't have their Wheaties this morning because he's way off." Like, they were really reaching. And I feel like production gave them a little bit of information, but they couldn't remember it. Because then they move on to Leah, and it was like, there's a woman coming through, but she doesn't really want to come through. I'm guessing that she wouldn't have believed in this type of thing. And then Leah gives her more, no, she wouldn't have. And I see Judaism. It'll give you some structure. Yeah. So here's my opinion on this, because I've gone to readers before, not heavily. I haven't actually done an intuitive reading, but I've had like spiritual readings, like tarot readings, and I've had somebody like say things. They can kind of get a sense of who people are just based on who walks in a room. Like, I personally, and because I am highly intuitive, I can look at somebody's face and tell what type of personality they have, and I'm usually 9 times out of 10 right. Like I can look at a man and say, oh, he's an asshole just by his expression, just by the way he holds his mouth, just his whole glare. You can tell who's coming in the room. But when the lady starts talking about Leah and structure and Judaism, I thought that was kind of strange because typically a reader would not just instantly say, you need to go to Judaism. They might say, I see some sort of spiritual growth coming. I see maybe a shift in religion or your shift in your spiritual thinking, not just Judaism. So that's just my opinion on this. I think this was kind of a fraud medium, but whatever. So next we get to Ebony, and like Ebony, of course, you see a black woman. Oh, and I see a woman coming through. She's strong, a strong woman. She's strong, and then Ebony starts crying because that hits her like, I'm strong. My grandmother's strong. Everybody's strong. Oh, we're strong black women. I'm a strong black woman. Yes. And she starts crying. That like gets her emotional, and I understand why, because her grandmother just passed, and she's there at a seance. Whereas maybe I would have been with my mom, even though she might say it was a pandemic, but you're in a pandemic there. So I would have gone home to see my mom, like at least put a mask on and a shield on, and be there with your mother. Anyhow, that's just my judgy opinion. I'm sorry. So then they move on to Sonja, and this is where it gets really funny and juicy. She starts saying a man is coming through, man you have unfinished business with, basically, and a man who, is the source of your issues. This is the source of your issues, and you haven't dealt with it. And Sonja says, oh, I have a healer. Oh, no, not just a healer. She says, a healer will not work. You need to go to a psychologist. Well, I have a therapist, but, we haven't, gotten to my father yet. Oh, no, I hope this therapist has a PhD. So a PhD is what Sonja needs. I think this is straight from production, but okay. You need a therapist with a PhD. No, Sonja, you might need a psychiatrist. And then you need to go to AA on 112th Street, 125th Street in Harlem. That's where you're going to get your healing, Sonja. There. That's what she should have said. So then, they get to Ramona, and Ramona, I just feel like a man comes through, and it appears to be Ramona's brother who he never knew his way. He was always lost, as Ramona said. He was lost. Tried to help him, blah, blah, blah. She starts fake crying, and she buries her head, and this and that. And like the episode just kind of kind of ends. I don't even remember the ending. I'm assuming it just ended with the seance. And tell me what you think. Did you buy into the seance, this medium? Let me know what you thought. I don't think so. I wasn't buying it. Just wasn't buying it. But hey, it made for some okay TV and something different for the reality TV stars. So hey, I'm with it. I'm always with entertainment, but I gotta tell you, I'm getting a little tired of their back and forth every week. It's the same thing. Though I'm glad they don't have a gate, like a panty gate or like a violation gate. So I'm glad, or a bolo gate. I'm glad they're not carrying one theme throughout, but I am getting a little weary of the back and forth. Sonja's drunk. We got to do something about Sonja's drinking, and Ebony, I'm black, and need to hear black culture. But let me know your thoughts. Drop into the comments, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.